Tonight we got Chris on the line, on the guest line here. We're just going to go over, I'll let Chris kind of talk about what he does for getting ready for winter. And if you guys have any questions about getting ready for winter, lighting systems for the quail or anything like that, put them in the comments. One new thing we do have tonight, I shared a link at the very beginning. If you want to answer your question on video, please use that link, and you will get added into the system, and I can add you in, and you can ask your question live and kind of talk to everybody on video if you like. With that, I don't have any other announcements. That's the biggest thing. I can post that link one more time here, so you guys have it up front. And then, I'll let Chris, if you want to get started and tell us what you do to get ready for winter and things like that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. It's actually, like I told you beforehand, it's probably going to be a pretty short discussion because winter's not really that difficult. It's actually pretty simple. For the rabbits, they've got big fur coats on, so they're pretty comfortable in winter. And I'll preface all this by saying I'm in Southwest Missouri, so my winters are probably not as harsh as some of yours, and especially not you, Brandon. You've got probably way harsher winters than we do, but we do get down below freezing, and we don't typically stay there for months on end. But we'll have weeks where we're below freezing and get down to 5-6 degrees, sometimes negative temperatures. So the biggest thing that I do is I make sure that the rabbits have a windbreak. I have a tarp system that I just pull the tarps down, peg them to the ground with some tent stakes. So it's like the rabbit shed sits like this, the tarps sit at an angle like this. So it's kind of a lean-to, and I can walk in there. It's really as much for my comfort as it is for the rabbits because, when I go in to feed and handle them, I'm out of the weather, I'm out of the wind. It blocks them from rain, snow, any of those kinds of things that are coming. Other than that, for the rabbits, the biggest thing I do is I take down their automatic watering system because it'll freeze up, and change that out. I start watering them in bowls. So I use rubber Crocs. I like those because when they freeze, I can knock the ice out of them without breaking the bowl. I can just turn it over and kick it, and the ice comes right out. So just fill it up, maybe halfway in the morning. They'll go and drink as much as they want, and then again in the afternoon, evening, I go and just put water right on top of that, fill it the rest of the way up, and they'll drink as much as they want. And then next morning, knock the ice out of it and start all over again. That's pretty much the biggest difference with the rabbits from summertime. Summertime, they need, they struggle more in the heat of summer than they do in wintertime. Now, I do breed only in the wintertime, the fall and the winter. So I'm not breeding in the heat of the summertime. I just bred my doe a week and a half ago. Verna's asking, don't I put a tarp as a windbreak? Yeah, I do. I don't know if there's a delay in the comments, so you may have heard me say that before you asked it or not. But anyway, I put the tarp down as a windbreak for the rabbits. Now, the quail hutches I have are part of it's all closed in anyway, so they already have a windbreak built in. There's not a whole lot I do different for them either. I do switch out their water as well because the automatic watering system will freeze. Haven't found a way to keep it from freezing. Even if I were to heat it, the right where the water comes out, same thing on the rabbit watering system. If I were to heat that, unless I'm circulating water through, the hoses are going to freeze. Even if I am circulating water through with a pump or something like that, it's going to freeze right at the nipple or right at wherever the water comes out. That part freezes incredibly fast. When we get down below, say, 20 degrees, and I've taken water bottles out there before, and the water bottle won't freeze, but that nipple where the water comes out, it freezes in like 5 seconds, 10 seconds. So there's no way for me to keep that from freezing. Excuse me. So with the quail, I do use a little bit of a different watering system for them. What I do is I use something like very much like I do on my feeders. It's just a Tupperware style container with a lid on it, and I cut a hole in the side for them to stick their head through and get the water out. Now I don't. These are cheap plastic containers. I'm just reading comments. Sorry. Somebody says a smart idea for the rabbits. So yeah.
We'll get to the comments.
Struggle with the water. Yeah, the water bottles, they do not work in the wintertime because they do, like I said, they freeze up right there where the water comes out. So anyway, with the quail, I they already have a windbreak, so I don't need to do anything different for their hutch. They've got a way they can get out of the wind. I don't put any heaters in there, any of that kind of stuff. They just deal with the weather, and they're incredibly hardy. They don't need any kind of heat or any of those kinds of things. What was I going to say about the watering? So that's a Tupperware style container, just I don't know, it's Rubbermaid or Glad or whatever brand. I just buy the cheap ones, the food storage containers, and cut a hole in the side of it so they can stick their heads through to get water. Cut them a couple on each side so the birds aren't fighting over the one hole to get their head in there and get water. Take the lid off, put a little bit of water in there, fill it up just below the holes, and they'll go in and get their drink as much as they want when I put the water in. And then in the evening time when I go out, I just switch that container out because that's thin, cheap plastic. I can't bust the ice out of it or it'll break the container. But it is important I use a container with a lid on it, because I found when I don't, the quail are kind of stupid. They'll get in the water, even though it's below freezing outside, they'll get in the water and then they'll freeze to the cage or something like that. Or nothing else, they'll just foul it up. It'll get just nasty and messy. So I use a container with a lid over it. They can stick their heads through the hole, get their drink of water. And that's really about all I do for winter. I've never had any problems. The one thing that I will say about the quail is that they do stop laying once your days get shorter. They get below about 14 hours a day of sunlight, they'll stop laying eggs. So if you want to keep them laying eggs longer, then you need to put some kind of light on them to extend the daylight up to about 14 hours a day. And it doesn't have to be a super bright light. I've got a little light that I actually developed and worked on trying to get to market and just haven't been able to do that. It's a solar powered light with a timer, so I can set it to come on at a certain time, go off at a certain time. I have it come on about 4:30 in the morning, stay on until the sun comes up about 7 o'clock in the morning, and that gives them an extra couple hours of light. But as long as it's light enough to read by, that's plenty. They're fine. They're going to keep laying eggs. The eggs do freeze when it gets super cold out, but I'm not incubating eggs in the middle of winter anyway, so it's not a big deal if the eggs freeze. So that's really about all I do for the quail in the wintertime. Now, I will say the lights do a good job of keeping them laying, but even during the shortest part of the year, so like mid-December through about early January, for those 3 or 4 weeks right there, I usually don't get hardly any eggs out of them, even though I am providing them with that supplemental light. They pretty much shut down during that time. And they'll pick back up, whenever the days start getting a little bit longer, mid-January, early January. They'll start picking back up their egg laying at that point. But that's it. That's pretty much my winter preparations. And, like I said, in Southwest Missouri, we're not nearly as harsh as some of everybody else has. But I've had plenty of viewers from Alaska and some of those places that do get very, very cold and have pretty harsh winters, and say that they've had no problems with their birds either, in very similar setups. Same thing with rabbits. No problems with their rabbits either. But that's pretty much my winter preparations. It's really pretty simple and pretty straightforward.
Cool. Yeah, we pretty much do something similar with our rabbits. Just give them a windbreak and use the crocks so they can drink out of it. So,
yeah. Do you use a ceramic crock or a rubber crock?
We have plastic ones, but
plastic, hard plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to switch out to the rubber ones, man. They're so much easier.
I was looking at those.
Yeah. Yeah, I just turn them over and stomp on them. The ice busts right out of them. So much easier to deal with. I wish I could do that with the quail, but they, like I said, they'll just get in it and they just mess it all up. And
and they get cold
and then they get wet, and then they're dumb.
Yep. I'll hop into questions. Obviously, you guys noticed that Kristen's not here tonight. She's working, so you just got us two, unless somebody wants to hop on and join us. I'll get into the questions. And S.O. Swanson here says, greetings from Memphis. I'm here for the WTF comedy tour. Jasmine says, oh, fancy. I do mean the restream guest request for questions, LOL. Verna is here. Verna is our moderator. Thank you for joining. She says, evening, everybody. Hit the thumbs up. If you can, hit the thumbs up. Appreciate it. James says, hey, all, not using the restream link. Just don't feel pretty enough.
I can relate to that, yeah.
That's fine. You don't have to. It's there for an option if you guys want to join on and say hi and ask questions that way. Ed got bait and says, "I'm here watching, but I'm fixing Nintendo Switch Joy-Con control. Hardest part for me is the tiny screws."
Yeah, I can imagine.
I can imagine. Yeah. S.L. Swanson says, "Neato, I can't do that. I didn't comb my hair." I see that Terry is going to do that on his stream next week on Katrina's Corner.
Nice.
Yeah. Jasmine says, "Oops, I'm sorry." Says, "Howdy hey from Crane, Missouri."
I know exactly where Crane, Missouri is.
She's
Been
not
there
too
many
far from
times.
you, right?
I mean, it's an hour and a half or so, but it's a little ways, but not terribly far.
You guys got similar weather, I'm assuming.
Yeah, pretty much. She's got she's a little bit more in the Ozarks, where I'm kind of at the edge of the Ozarks and the plains. So you go a little bit north of us, it's the plains. South and east of us is the Ozarks. She's a little bit more in the Ozarks.
Ed Gape says, "Hi, WTF and Chris. Good evening."
Hey, Ed.
James says, "So subject tonight is bunnies."
It's whatever really you want it to be, I guess.
Yeah, it's whatever you want. I just use that as a graphic. It's our Silver Fox Doe. Jennifer says, "Hi, all from Tennessee. Welcome."
Hello.
Jesse Mills is here. Good evening. Verna's talking about her pansy fees. She said, "One thing I'll tell you all is they are escape artists." Yeah, I bet. James says, "My right shoulder is messed up, so I'm a single fat fingering the." Yeah, I can. My shoulder has been messed up. I've actually been out from work because I haven't been able to. So I work on a computer all day, so I haven't been able to use a mouse or anything for the last few days. So I've just been kind of laid up and working on that. It's actually better. I can actually move it more. And Verna says you put a tarp up as a windbreak. Roas is here. Mm-hmm. Hi, from Ontario. Welcome. Jasmine here says, "Oh, smart idea for winter rabbit." I can't speak tonight. Winter rabbit watering. Thank you, Chris. Gosh, how the heck did I not think of all these years? 3 winters struggling with those water bottles.
Yep. Yeah, the water bottles are a huge pain. Get rid of them in the wintertime. Yeah.
I find that rabbits don't like using the water bottles anyways. They don't really like using that nipple, like basically on the water bottle. They don't seem like you get enough water.
Yeah, in the summertime, I use an automatic watering system, and it's set up with the nipples, the water nipples, and they don't have any problems with it. They do just fine on it. I do like it because, like, my water system it broke, and I didn't fix it because, well, it's almost wintertime. I'm going to be taking it down anyway, so I figured I'll just fix it next year. So I've been watering them out of bowls for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and my doe is just really bad about dumping her bowl over. So, at least with the nipples, she always had water, so now I'll go in, I'll check her feed, and I'll be like, she didn't eat all her feed. And I know automatically, her water bowl's empty again. She dumped it over.
Gotcha. Yeah. We have those ones that attach to the bottom of the cage so they don't tip them over.
Yeah, she grabs it and tips it, throws it.
Witch Doctor says, "Hi, everybody. Welcome."
Hello.
Jasmine says, "I just started using some Christmas lights for my layers, and it's already helped them get back to laying eggs. So happy I have eggs again."
Yep. Yeah, mine's shut down. My lights aren't on right now, so I'm getting like maybe an egg or 2 every day, every other day. It's very little, but I've got plenty of eggs right now. I don't need them, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I got a light, a solar light on my hutch. Actually, I'm doing a video on because I ordered a couple lights to try out and see what solar options are available because they like the idea of solar. I found one
Yeah.
that worked really well.
Is it just it's like an automatic comes on at dusk or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it
I
has
had
other options too, but and one of them will come on automatic at dusk, but you can set the hours that it's on for, which is kind of cool. But
turn
I
on
don't,
how long? Oh, really? That's pretty nice actually.
yeah, I thought I was gonna like that one, but I don't really care for it.
Really?
Yeah.
I had one that for a while before I had the light that I developed. It came on automatic at dusk, but it ran until the battery ran out. So it was like on 6-8 hours, and I only wanted it on for like 3, but
Yeah.
it was all right.
Yeah.
I mean, it works, but
The biggest thing I don't like about the one that you can set the how many hours that you add is that the only adjustments for it is using the remote control that comes with it. So if you lose the remote, you're SOL. And then the solar panel is huge, like this big.
that may not be a bad thing though, especially in the wintertime when there's not as much sun.
Yeah, it's not one of those newer, higher efficient solar panels, so it's, the size really doesn't give you
Gotcha.
anything. Dale's here. Howdy, everyone. Winter is coming for us in Wisconsin. Sure
Yeah.
is.
It's getting cold there already.
Oh, yeah. We've had a couple of cold nights. We've had 2 frost nights already.
Really, we haven't had a frost yet, but we've gotten down to 40. I think was the lowest we got.
Yeah, I think I said on your live stream last week we were supposed to get down to 35 or something like that on Saturday. I think we ended up getting down to 32.
Wow.
So it was a chilly one. Jasmine says we miss you already, Kristen. I'm sorry, I know she's the life of the party. She's fun. Joan here says hi from southern Arizona. Welcome.
No, you don't have to worry about winter, do you?
Yeah, probably not. Anne is here from Ohio. It's awesome. Which doctor says Verna is the best. We have Tiffany from Tealstone Homestead. Miss you, Kristen. Hi, everybody. Welcome, Tiffany. Roas says, I use Christmas lights too. They are not bright, but they are all laying. It's awesome. You guys, I'm assuming you guys run power out to the lights then?
Probably. They do have battery powered ones, but
Yeah,
I guess it's powered.
Yeah. Dale says we'd rather quail in the winter than summer.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, winter is easier. Man, the heat is. I don't know how hot it gets where you guys are and what your humidity levels are, but when it's 95 to 100 degrees out with an 80% humidity level, I mean, you can just see the animals. All of them are just like they just sit around panting. They don't. I mean, it's rough.
Yeah, it's bad. We always have fans on and stuff. We will sometimes get up to 90, 95, but it's rare. It's usually 85 and humid.
Yeah.
We have tons of humidity.
Yeah, we do too.
PJ's Farm, hello from New York. Welcome. Everyday Oil Mommy says, hello from Sacramento, California. I'm listening to you while I catch up on quail chores. 3 incubators running and 2 have balut eggs. That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah,
we have to keep up with.
We have 2 trays of balut and then 2 other Nurture Right 360s full of balut eggs right now.
You have a market for them, all right? I mean, you have customers?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, those are all pre-orders. I think the ones that are in our big incubator, I deliver, I think, next Tuesday.
Nice. I need to look for a market for that locally. I mean, we've got a pretty big Vietnamese community here, and I think it might be something that they would be interested in.
Yeah, we're kind of surprised. I mean, a little bit. I mean, we went to a couple of nail salons and gave free eggs, and that day we did that, we got an order for I think 15 dozen quail eggs and
wow.
some. I think 15 butchered quail and 8 or 10 dozen balut from just the one nail salon. So
Wow. It's a
that's
pretty
pretty
tight knit
cool.
community. So, I mean, you get in with one and word spreads.
Yeah. Witch Doctor says hi from Vegas. I don't have to worry about winter there either. Jasmine has a question. Do either of you fellows have any new homestead projects that you're planning on working during the winter?
Wow, that's a good question. I don't necessarily have anything planned out. I got to finish my flooring. I bought new flooring. Good grief, beginning of the year, and did all of it except for I've got my bedroom. Well, my wife and I's bedroom, the room where all the flooring's stored in, and this room to finish up. I haven't done those yet. I've done everything else, so I got to finish that up at some point. I find time to do that. Other than that, I don't know if these are homesteading projects, but I've got to clean out my garage. It is just packed full of junk. So I got to get that done and get the garden all prepped for spring. That's about it. I don't have anything else planned. I'm sure something else will come up. I'll get bored and think up some kind of project, but nothing else really
Yeah.
planned.
Yeah, I got to do the garden, my small garden, and then I got to till up the cornfield and get that all prepped and lay out all the quail manure on it and till that all in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a big doorway here I plan on doing in the winter here because this is my office I'm in, and it used to be a dining room downstairs, and so I'm gonna seal off one of the doorways and put a bookshelf there, kind of like enclose the office a little more. Meant to do that last winter, I just haven't done it.
Yeah, I don't till. I do a no-till garden, so all I've got to do is peel up I use a ground cover on it to
Mm-hmm.
keep the weed pressure down. Best thing I ever did. Cuts back on my watering, keeps my weeds down, all that good stuff. So I just have to peel that up, throw some rabbit manure, quail manure, a little bit of compost on there, and put it back down, basically. But I got to clean it out. I got to get all the stuff out of there because all the plants are still in there, just sitting there. They
Right.
died, but they're still there.
Yeah, I got some Brussels sprouts in the ground yet, and then our pepper plants are dying because of the frost that we got.
Yeah,
But I have some peppers on there I need to pick quick. I need to do
yeah,
that
I
soon.
got the same thing I need to do.
And then yeah, I'm gonna do wheat fabric next year is my plan.
Oh, it's the best. Get that stuff from Grower Solution. That's the best one.
Okay.
I can't grow Brussels sprouts, man. I've tried any kind of Brussels sprouts, broccoli, most of that brassicas. They just don't grow well here. It's too cold in the winter, of course, but our spring and our fall is so short. Like it was 80 degrees yesterday, so it was too hot, and the cabbage worms are just horrible. Cabbage moths and stuff. I get all over them. I've never had luck growing any of that stuff. I'm sure it can be done. It's just not. I've tried, and it just doesn't do well for me.
This is my first year at it, and it wasn't looking very well until like about a week ago. I actually seen more Brussels sprouts actually growing,
Yeah.
and they're starting to look okay. But we'll see. Dale's quails. We use your winter water setup, Chris. 120 containers.
120 containers. Good grief.
Wish we would have found you before last winter's first few freezes.
Yeah, I can't imagine 120 containers though. Good grief, that's a lot.
Yeah, he's got a lot of quail, a lot of different quail too. He's got button quail, California quail, or Gamble quail. I don't remember. One of the quails.
Huh.
Otis is here. Hello, everyone. Kentucky Fried Quail.
I've never had good luck frying quail or rabbits for that much matter. They just don't. They're too lean.
I suppose, yeah. Roas, my family can hardly stand my quail edition, so rabbits are a no-go for me. I am addicted to quail videos too. I don't know. Once you get into quail, you need another source of meat that's good. Rabbit's good, nice lean meat. It's good for you.
Yeah.
Witch Doctor says, how bright does the lighting need to be to keep the quail laying?
Yeah, I think I said that. I think maybe it was probably after you or before, after you said that comment, because you wouldn't have probably said it, but not that bright really. I mean, it is, if it's bright enough to read by, it's probably bright enough to keep them laying. It doesn't have to be super bright.
Jasmine says, my lights are cheap LED Christmas string lights, just enough light to read by.
There you go.
Jennifer says, I don't think I am going to add light till after molting is over. I am new to this. How long do they molt?
Yeah, molting doesn't take that long, a week or two. About maybe 2 weeks roughly before they're grown back in. There's no reason you have to wait though. I mean, you can add the light now because it's going to take, it takes a couple of weeks once you add the light for them to get back into the egg laying cycle. They won't really lay while they're molting anyway. So, I mean, you can hold off if you want to, but you don't have to. It's not a big deal. And I guess the molt kind of depends a little bit on like your protein levels in your feed. It takes a lot of protein to grow feathers. So if you're using a really low protein feed, it can extend their molt just a little bit. But if you're using a higher protein, they seem to get through it a little bit quicker. And when I say higher or lower, 25% or higher is what I consider high protein. I wouldn't go below 20% on quail, but 20 to 25% would be a lower protein.
Dale says, enough light to read by is the rule we use for our quail and ducks. Ducks haven't missed a day yet.
Nice. I wish I had ducks. Love duck eggs.
Nikki James says, I just moved all my birds. All my birds moved inside today. No outside lights, but I have the lights set on timers in my building.
Nice. I will tell you, give you a word of caution about that is if you have stacking cages, make sure you have light on the bottom cages as well. I had stacking cages in my garage for a little while. I was using the overhead lighting, and the bottoms and the birds in the bottom cage were just not laying eggs because it was shaded. It was in the shadow of the light all day. I mean, it was pretty dark down there because the cage above them was blocking all the light. So you need to make sure you have light on the bottom cage too, or they won't lay.
Yeah, we have. I don't know, in our quail barn, I think we have pretty bright enough light that the bottom cage still is pretty well lit. It looks shaded, but they're producing enough eggs.
Yeah, as long as it's not. I mean, mine's like directly overhead over the cages. So if you've got them off to the side, it probably doesn't make as big of a difference.
Yeah, we have the lighting in the middle of the barn, and then the cages are on the outside of the walls. So, Jasmine says, "LOL, Brandon. We all enjoy you and Chris. It's just not the same without your lovely wife's humor. But we will get along just fine. You guys are great."
Thank you.
Right. Roa says, I was lucky my husband ran hydro out to the quail barn. Deep down, he loves quail too. He keeps it well hidden though. Yeah. And Roa said, the deer hunt is coming up, Chris.
Yeah, it's actually deer season right now. It's just they haven't been moving real well yet. I haven't made it out yet. It's bow season, I should say. It's not rifle season yet.
Yeah,
but
both for us. Well, witch doctor, we are a very chilly 70 degrees during the day.
Yeah, it wasn't terribly hot today. I think it only got up to about 75.
I said we had
that's pretty
somewhere
nice,
similar. I think it was like 73 today, oddly enough.
Yeah, 75 was nice.
Verna says they had 71 degrees down there.
71's all right.
The Weather Channel said the summer season is getting longer each year.
Maybe. We had a late start to summer this year here. I don't know what it was like for you guys, but it was. I usually have things in the ground by my Mother's Day. Most of my tomatoes and that kind of stuff, I'm putting them in by Mother's Day, and it was more like the first week of June before it was warm enough to put anything in the ground. So, winter stayed around a lot longer. It just seems like the season shifted. It's not so much that it's a longer summer. It's just we started later and we're ending a little bit later.
Yeah, I would agree with you because I think I planted some stuff in the beginning of May. I think I planted my corn around the beginning of May, and then we had a frost because by the time it sprouted, the frost was supposed to be gone, and then we ended up having a frost by I think somewhere around Mother's Day, and then nothing really I couldn't plant the rest of the garden until probably close to June. So, Witch Doctor says we are at 50 degrees at night. That's freezing.
Yeah, we're down in the 50s and high 40s at night. I think it's pretty nice, actually. I don't have to run my air conditioner.
Yeah, I haven't had our air conditioner or heat on yet for a month.
So. Yeah, we haven't turned our heater on yet, and our air conditioner hasn't. It's still on, but it's set to like 72 degrees or something, and it hasn't kicked on in over a week.
Jasmine says, Chris, I grew broccoli for the first time this spring, and surprisingly, it grew great.
Nice. I'm jealous because I can't ever seem to get it to grow very well. Broccoli is a little bit more forgiving. I can usually get a little bit out of it, and cauliflower. But just about anything else, cabbage, I can get cabbage to grow a little bit. But Brussels sprouts, any of that other kind of stuff, it never works. And I never get enough harvest out of my broccoli to make it worth growing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I grew cauliflower for the first time this year, and I was actually surprised in how well it did. I had every single plant grew head of cauliflower, and they're decent size.
Yeah, that's good. So. I do like cauliflower quite a bit, but I have a difficult time. Part of me doesn't really like to grow it because it takes up so much room from no more than you get out of it, if that makes sense. You get one head of cauliflower out of each plant, and it takes up a lot of room, as opposed to I could plant green beans there and get multiple harvests out of it. And
yeah, it definitely takes a lot of room because, in that part of the garden, I think it took up a quarter of the garden, the cauliflower and the Brussels sprouts, and I could have got a lot more harvest out of it.
Oh, I do like fresh Brussels sprouts, though.
Yeah,
they are good.
S.L. Swanson says, when does Dale deliver Kristen's buttons? Don't know. We'll see. Roas says, I do love wild rabbits.
Wild rabbit is good. I agree.
It is. I haven't had
it's a little better. Yeah, it's a little better than domestic rabbit, in my opinion.
Yeah, it has a little more flavor.
Yeah. Squirrel's the same way. I like squirrel, too.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that last week. Yeah, I have not gone squirrel hunting since I was probably 14 or 15 years old.
Oh, man, it's one of the best kinds of hunting. It's so much fun.
Quite a while.
It's a lot. I always take people that are new to hunting, I always take them squirrel hunting because it's more fast-paced than deer hunting. You don't sit there for days and maybe not see anything. It's usually and I still hunt squirrel too. I just go out and find where there's a bunch of nests, sit down at a tree and wait. Usually 30 minutes and the squirrels are out running around.
Dale says next couple of weeks, I think.
It's for delivery of the buttons.
The buttons. Yeah, I think we have some stuff for him and we need to meet up next couple of weeks. James says, I am absolutely forbidden to raise meat rabbits. Sigo says, rabbits are pets. So fluffy.
Okay. That's too bad.
You can have both.
I agree.
I mean, we have mini Rexes for the kids, and they're not really much for meat. So
no.
Which we bred those. We should have a litter out of her. I think next week or a week and a half. I think Halloween.
Nice.
She's doing so. Verna says you can get feather fixer feed. I've never heard of that. Have you?
I think I've heard of that for chickens. I don't know if I've ever heard of it for game birds, but
maybe. But
yeah, they do sell for chickens. They sell feather fixer feed or supplements that you can add to help them through a molt. But really, it's just if you're using a fairly high protein feed, you don't need it.
Summer says, anyone grow barley or wheat fodder for their quail?
I do not. Fodder's too much work. I don't have time for that.
I don't.
It's not.
Oh, go ahead.
I would say it's not that much work. I mean, it's extra work. I mean, my daily chores for my rabbits and my quail are 15 minutes, something like that. Maybe 20 at the most. I don't want to add to it. I got a full-time job. I'm busy as it is. I don't want to make it any more difficult than it has to be.
I know Kristen wants to get into doing that because she says the one thing that she can't kill because you just basically have to sprout it and
Just sprout it. Yeah.
not have to
There's
worry about it.
there's some pretty easy setups with fodder. Rotating setups where all you got to do is put seed in every day, and then you take the tray that was planted 5 days ago or whatever and move it out. There's some pretty easy setups with that, but still, it is extra work that I just don't want to do.
Jasmine says, would feather fixer feed be a good option to feed during molt? 18 to 20% protein, 6% fat.
I like a higher protein than that myself. And I know that there's different opinions on this. And, Zach from My Shire did videos on some quail food, which was drastically different than what I recommend. Because what I use is a 30% game bird starter for everything. That's all my birds. All of them get it. It doesn't matter how old they are, how young they are. That's what I use all the time. And it works great. But I can't remember what, and Zach had some like science behind it. It wasn't just his thoughts on it. It was like he had talked to somebody about it. And I don't remember what they was like high protein, 28% or something like that or above for the first couple of weeks. And then they switched them over to, was it a 25% or 22% protein? I can't remember.
I think it was a 20 to 24%, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So like a 22%. Yeah.
So as far as answering your question, that seems kind of low protein to me, but yeah, it's probably going to be fine. It's probably going to work.
Yeah, we feed our layers of 20% protein with, it's a game bird layer mash, they call it, but it's just crumble. It works pretty good. Jasmine says, summer, I am all set up to start growing wheat fodder for my quail, chickens, turkeys, geese, and rabbits. Excited to experiment or supplement.
Nice.
Sorry. That's cool. Otis says, fodder has to be rewarding all the way around.
Yeah, I suppose it would be.
I think I missed something here. Jasmine says, talking about sweet, I don't see the other part, but sweet potato vines growing out of control in the garden. I'll be sure to feed them. That's good. And Verna says, yes, sweet potatoes are not related to white potatoes. White potatoes are the nightshade family, but sweet potatoes are not. Quail can eat the vines and the sweet potatoes.
Yeah, I must be talking about what you can feed the quail. Nightshades are bad for any animal. Don't feed nightshades.
Yep.
Potatoes, tomatoes, any of that. The plant, not the fruit's fine. I mean, you can feed tomatoes. Don't feed the tomato vine to your animals. The nightshade vine is bad.
And Verna says, if you don't have room for sweet potatoes, you can grow them in a house as a house plant.
Yep. I've heard of that. I've heard of that working.
Roas says, cauliflower, did you tie large leaves up together to keep the heads tight together?
No.
I did not. A couple of them, the heads did work kind of loose, but I think that was only on like one or two of them.
Did they turn purple?
6 to 8 plants. No.
That's usually what tying, they call that blanching, but tying the leaves up over the cauliflower, it will help keep the heads tighter because they're not trying to bolt. But the more than anything, it keeps the sun off them because sun hits that and it sometimes will turn them purple or turn them a different color.
Yeah, that was the only problem I had with a couple of them. It turned it yellow. So
yellow, huh?
Yeah. Chad says, hi all. If I type something and it's not readable, it's because the doc gave me 2 shots in the hip. One was fire water because I feel pain. Okay.
I need to get that done. Apparently, man, my hip has been bothering me. I think I got a hip replacement in my future at some point.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, it does.
James says, broccoli needs lots of nitrogen. My dad used to cut it, comfrey leaves and put them around broccoli. I hate broccoli, by the way.
Yeah, if I had comfrey, I'd be cutting that stuff and putting it all through my garden. But I don't have any. I need to get some. I love broccoli. Broccoli's fantastic.
I like frying it in frying pan.
Yeah, stir fried's good. I like it just raw. I like it all kinds of ways.
Well, when I cook it in the frying pan, I mean, I fry it up just alone in the frying pan and put cheese on it and eat it that way.
Well, put cheese on it, you can't be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Wisconsin. You put cheese on everything. So.
Cheese or heavy cream, it's going to be good.
Yeah. Jasmine says, question, do you have your favorite experience or story of how your quail or rabbit adventures have positively impacted you or someone in your life or / the community? Like something you'll never forget.
I don't know that it's ever made that big of an impact on anybody I've met. But I grew up, I'm in a somewhat rural community, so it's not that uncommon for people to be raising their own livestock and things like that. Quail's probably a little bit uncommon. You bring the eggs, devil eggs to a party or something like that, and people are all kind of excited about it because they haven't seen it before. But I don't know that there's been any kind of huge positive impact or, amazing stories that I can share. It's just kind of I say I raise meat rabbits, and usually somebody's like, oh yeah, my grandpa used to raise meat rabbits, or my aunt raises meat rabbit. It's not that uncommon. So
yeah, my grandfather raised meat rabbits, and chickens and all that when my mom was younger. And my mom tells the story. Basically, she's like, when she grew up and got out of the house and went to the grocery store, she didn't know how to buy meat.
Because they always had their own.
They always had their own meat. They always grew their own meat. So for her, it was very odd to go to the grocery store and buy meat out of the refrigerator. So, S.L. Swanson says Zach's 0 to 8 weeks, 25 to 32% protein, and then week 8 on is 17 to 22%.
Interesting. Yeah, see, that seems like too low a protein to me, but I mean, it's working. So I mean, I'm not going to argue with it. And like I said, he had, experts behind him saying that it wasn't just his opinion on it. Just so, take me for a grain of salt, but I use a 30% protein for everything. It's just simpler, easier, and they all do fine. I get great laying results on everything.
I say for a little while there in the summer, we couldn't get any higher protein food. So we were feeding just chicken layer feed because that was the only thing available to us. So there's about 3-week stretch there. We were feeding 17% chicken feed crumbles, and they did okay. They still laid fine and everything, and they did all right. Ed Got Bait says, ribbon cable broke. Now I can enjoy your live.
Oh no.
Terry from Katrina's Corner is
hey,
here.
Terry's here.
Says, hello, Chris and Brandon. Almost missed this one. Hey, everybody. Welcome, Terry. Kelly from Feathered Connections is here. Hey, y'all, hopping on late. That's all right. This guy never takes...
I don't take attendance now.
Nobody's taking me up on joining and asking questions live, though.
I know I kind of expected
I'll post
some people
the link
to.
one more time. I figured somebody would hop on. Let's see here. Jasmine Bass says, I have tons of comfrey plants, Chris. I can share it with a neighbor.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I don't know when I'll ever make it to Crane, but if I do, I'll have to hit you up and get some of those from you. I'd love to have some. I had somebody locally a while back that had some comfrey, and I said I wanted some. They were like, sure, but then they never came through with it. So,
are you getting new meat rabbits this year?
I don't know. We're going to see how this litter goes. I've got, she's bred right now. If she has a small litter or any of those kinds of things, then she's done. Her last litter from last year was pretty small, and I think she's getting pretty old. So I'm looking for some. I'm looking for Tamucks.
Tamucks?
Yeah.
James says hip replacements are easy peasy according to the surgeon friend of mine. Knees are way harder to recover from.
Yeah, I don't really want either one of them, but if you have to, you have to.
Yeah,
Joys of getting older, right?
Right. Yeah, I think my mother-in-law, when I first met Kristen, just had her one hip replaced, and then she had her other hip replaced now, I think a year ago. So she's got both hips. And I think she did pretty well in the last hip replacement.
Yeah, I'm just now getting there where I'm starting to just feel pain for no reason. Like, my hip hurts I didn't do anything to it. Why does it hurt? It makes no sense.
It might be your back.
Could be.
Could be. I have back issues, and oddly enough, my hips hurt, and the nerve that runs down your sciatica runs down through like your butt and hip area, and then it can cause your hip to hurt quite a bit.
It only hurts when I'm like climbing stairs or carrying a heavy load or like walking. Once I stop walking, sit down. I can sit down and rest for 5 minutes. It's fine.
Interesting. Ed Got Bait says, Kelly, how's your tickle trunk?
I don't know what that means.
It's from last week's live. Roes commented about a tickle trunk, and we had no idea what a tickle trunk was, but I guess is another name for a hope chest, that goes with the end of the bed.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, neither. And they were having fun with that word last week. Kelly says, emptied some of it out today. Terry says, hey, Kelly, sorry, I've been spending a lot of time on my sailboat. She said that missed my fun live last week. Hey, I have somebody that actually joined our thing here. Looks like it's Tiffany.
Hey.
You asked for it.
Yeah.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. I have a question for you. A legitimate question about Quail.
A legitimate question about Quail?
Up? Because I feel like, okay, so like, how do you grow them out and not have the males screaming all the time? Because I feel like I had all of my grow outs like in the same kind of like level, I guess, on my hutch. Mm-hmm. And they're so freaking loud.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things you can do. Not much, really, because when they're teenagers, basically. When they first hit that age, their hormones are raging. They're screaming. They're looking for a mate is what they're doing. So it's really hard to kind of keep them calmed down, especially if you've got multiples of them together. But they get over it pretty quick, a couple of weeks, and they'll start calming down a little bit. If you reduce the light, keep them in the dark a lot longer, so get them down to like 6 hours a day of daylight, that'll help. It'll put those hormones in check a little bit, so it'll help with that. But they're still probably going to crow more than normal whenever they first hit age.
Gotcha. Okay. I remember I was texting Kristen saying like what is going on with them because they're just being so loud, and she told me that sometimes putting the males all together and like putting them out of sight from the hens will sometimes like make them quieter. And I tried to do that, and they were like screaming for like 2 hours.
Yeah, they're competing with each other, right?
Yeah. Then she told me later on, because I said that, and then she's like, yeah, they probably would have stopped after like 2 days, but
they will calm down. They do. When they first hit, 6, 7 weeks old, when they first get their voice, man, they crow. I mean, they just scream like all the time. It seems like for no reason. I mean, just nonstop. But that only lasts for a couple of weeks, and then they'll start calming down. And like my birds now are, I don't know, 2 years old almost, and I hardly ever hear them crow. They still breed. I mean, I still get fertile eggs and all that, but they hardly ever crow.
I have noticed that actually. We haven't actually butchered that many. This is like my first batch of quail, by the way. I'm like new to this. Yeah. But like we butchered maybe 5 males, and I have noticed that they're definitely not like screeching as much and like crowing as much as before.
That would have been my best advice is to pick up your favorite males and get rid of the other ones.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny. Jameson was making fun of me because I had a gram scale out there, and I was like measuring. I was like weighing all of the.
I would have. That's what we do.
I just eyeball them myself.
You what?
I just eyeball them. I just like, you look like you're smaller than the others. You're going to go in the crock pot.
Yeah. No, I was doing the ram. It sounds so stupid.
Is that Terry?
Yeah, Terry joined too.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, everyone. Good.
How's it
How are
going?
you guys doing?
Pretty
Good.
good.
Hey, I'll leave out of here now and let Terry take over.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Good to see you again.
Okay, be quiet.
Is that, I forgot your dog's name, but that's the same
Red.
dog we met at QuailCon?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. Is he guarding the house?
No, I almost missed this one, too. I just caught I don't know, probably the last 10 minutes of it or so, maybe.
Yeah, how are we doing on time? Yeah,
No,
we
we
got
got
another 10 minutes or
few
so.
minutes.
I can go a little bit after 8.
Yeah, Chris, you gotta respect his time. He usually hops off a little around 8. So,
Yeah, I still got to cook dinner for my wife, so and it's getting late. So I'm okay, like I said, till 10 after or so.
Redneck Poultry said hey, hi to Kelly. And Kelly asked, Chris, tell us about your tickle trunk setup.
Yeah, I saw that come through. I don't even know. I have no hope chest or tickle trunk. I have a junk drawer. Does that count? It's just a drawer full of junk. I mean,
Redneck says, Kelly, try not to pull babies out of the incubator. Let's see. Cycle Ward 360. I took your advice on the high protein from cat food, blended it up, and turned it into 30%. It works very well.
nice. I don't know if he's talking to you or me because I've talked about that before too.
I think that was Verna. Verna does that. She mentioned that to me once before.
Yep. Catfish food works too.
Verna says, will she go into the stew pot, Chris?
Oh, my breeder when she's done? No, I probably will just offer her up for free. I'm a little bit of a softie about that. I have a hard time eating my breeders. I mean, I've had them for several years, and they put out a lot of babies for me, so I just kind of feel like it's unfair to just butcher them and process when I'm done. So I usually just offer them up on Craigslist for free and find somebody that wants a pet rabbit.
Yeah.
Brandon, didn't you guys just pick up a bunch of rabbits?
What's that?
I said, didn't you guys just pick up a bunch of rabbits?
Yeah, we have. We just picked up a creme d'argent buck this last weekend.
Oh, okay. Cool.
We got. I don't remember how many rabbits out there now. I think 6 right now. So.
Nice.
But yeah, Kristen won't let me butcher the rabbits either. The breeders.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem right to me. I don't know why.
Yeah. Ed Got Bay says, if the supply chain breaks and you can't get bags of feed for your animals, what will you do?
I'll probably eat them. I don't know. I've thought about that. The rabbits are a little bit easier. I think you could grow things for them pretty easily.
You can throw hay and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. The quail might be a little trickier. I don't know.
I know Ed's answer to that is to grow duckweed.
Yeah, I know. And duckweed is, I mean, there's benefits to having it for sure. I mean, it's a good animal feed, but I don't know. I just, I mean, if it comes down to the point where we can't get any feed whatsoever because the supply chain breaks, I think I'm going to have bigger problems to worry about than feed my animals. So it's not my main concern.
James says, once you have comfrey, you have it forever. You need to nuke it, clear it out.
Yeah, comfrey's good to have, though. There's lots of benefits to having comfrey.
Psycho Ward 360 says, I was told from my back injections that if I had too many, it would cause me to have a hip replacement. Interesting.
I've never had a back injection, so it can't be that problem.
Kelly has a question that says, Chris's face, haha, he has no idea how funny it was last week. So excited you're on, Chris.
Yeah, I didn't know what tickle trunk was. It threw me for a loop.
She has the real.
Have you heard of that, Terry?
What was that again?
Have you ever heard of
a
tickle trunk?
A tickle trunk, yeah.
No, I
No.
haven't.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it either.
I guess it's the same thing as a hope chest.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's what they said. I don't know.
Okay.
I thought it was something dirty, so I wasn't going to comment on it.
Here's a real question from Kelly. What's your favorite meat animal to raise, rabbit or quail or other? What's the feed conversion ratio like between the two?
Oh boy, that's a tough one to answer. As far as I don't know if I have a favorite between the two. I mean, they both have their benefits. The quail maybe would edge out just a little bit because for a couple of reasons. I think first of all, the quail meat has a little bit more flavor than rabbit meat does, so I think that's part of the reason I would like them a little bit better. But also, I mean, with quail you can just ramp up and ramp. I mean, so quick. It's just so much faster. With rabbits, you can't. I can't go out there and just push a button on the rabbit and make it have a bigger litter. You're kind of restricted with how many babies they have at a time. Plus, they're tied up raising those babies, whereas I could set eggs every week if I wanted to with the quail. So, I mean, there are some benefits to having the quail for sure. The rabbits, have their benefits as well. The manure alone, the rabbit manure is such great fertilizer for the garden. I mean, they're worth having around for that reason alone. As far as feed conversion goes, I think they're probably pretty similar. I've never done the math on it. I mean, it takes less feed to grow a quail out to 8 weeks than it does to grow a rabbit out to 8 weeks, but you're also getting a 5-pound rabbit as opposed to a 14-ounce quail. So I don't know what the feed conversion is on either one of them. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I have seen plenty of studies that compare like rabbits to beef, and rabbit feed conversion is so much better than cows, beef feed conversion. But I don't know about rabbits versus quail.
I would just say that rabbits, I mean, like we kind of mentioned earlier, the rabbits being a little easier because if you do run out of feed, it's easier to grow grass or hays for them.
Yeah.
To feed them. And
yeah, good point.
You almost can feed a rabbit for free if you have enough grass.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, your grow out rates are going to really slow down doing that, but it doesn't cost you anything. So.
Yep. Roas commented to Tiffany's question earlier. I think the young roos see, hear, or smell the hen, which is very true.
I doubt they smell them. I mean,
I don't know about.
I don't know. From what I understand, birds don't have much of a sense of smell.
Kelly has a question. Who is this new friend, Tiffany? Welcome. Hey, I want on too. The links in the comments. Just scroll up a little bit.
Hey, Brandon?
Yeah.
Curious, how many guests can you bring on through Restream?
I can add up to 10.
Up to 10? Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Good deal.
All
right,
Chad,
I'll let you go so you can bring in some new guests. I just wanted to pop in real quick.
It's good to see you, Terry.
Have a good night. We'll see you, Chris.
Take care.
Chad says, I had 2 level spine fusion in 2013, was on a roller coaster with my kids last week, and it beat me enough to pinch a nerve. That's why I got the shots.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Wow.
That sounds horrible.
Verna says, I got it from Chris years ago. Got it all from Chris for years. I don't know what that means. Did I miss something?
Probably.
And she says, I remember when Chris had those wire cages hanging from shelves.
Yeah. Are we talking about the quail stacking cages I had? I've still got those. I just don't use them. But I was just a PVC rack and a couple of cages.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah. And Chad said, feed the quail to the rabbits.
That'd be something, wouldn't it? That'd be a little scary if the rabbits would eat the quail.
Yeah.
You ever see that movie, The Lone Ranger, the newest one that came out with, who was it? Played Tonto on there. Anyway, the rabbits were meat eaters, and he was saying there was something off with it. Never mind. You don't sound like you know, or don't look like you know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't.
How about Monty Python? That's a little bit. No? Okay, never mind.
I know I'm horrible. I don't really watch that many movies anymore.
Yeah, those are old.
I know those are old. Yeah. Verna says, when I get off here tonight, I'm going to fry some quail breasts.
Yeah, that works all right.
Batter them and fry them. James says, Tickle Trunk actually comes from a Canadian children's program called Mr. Dress Up. The Tickle Trunk was where they kept their costumes. Just Google it. Who knew? Roas says, I knew.
Yeah, of course.
And then Verna said, yes.
Yeah.
She's going to batter them.
Batter them and fry them, huh?
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, we're at the end of the questions.
Ran out of comments already, huh?
Yeah. Oh, well, Roas said Johnny Depp.
Yeah, that was who played Tonto in the Lone Ranger movie.
Oh, here's one. I also got it from Chris, the food recipe for the birds to get protein raised up from cat food. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. I've talked about that before. I've had plenty of people ask. So, and I think it was a viewer that actually recommended. No, they recommended catfish food, which is another alternative you can use.
Okay.
It's pretty high protein, so you can, basically you just mix it in with your current feed, and that raises the protein level.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh, no. Protein raised up from cat food. Oh, okay.
Hey, I know I've talked about that before. I've had plenty of people ask.
Kelly,
there's a weird delayed echo.
Yeah.
So they recommended catfish food, which is I can hear what I said just 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, Kelly, I don't know if you can hear us.
She can't yet. It's going to take a second to get to her.
Yeah. Who knows?
I know I've talked about
Nikki says, my husband told me no rabbits. He said that they really smell when processing. Do domesticated rabbits have such or smell as much as wild? I don't think they do.
No, you get used to it. It's not as big of a deal in the end.
No.
Kelly, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep,
we can.
Oh, okay. So I had like a legit question because we don't have rabbits yet. It's wigging out on my end, so I might look like a robot.
Fine.
No, it's fine.
So we don't have rabbits yet, but we're thinking I need to shut my volume off on YouTube.
No, it's fine now.
Turn your sound down.
It's fine.
Oh, I was like, no, that's not the sound. That's just me, y'all. That's just
No, we could hear the video playing over your speaker, like it delayed after we said something, but it's fine now. It's working.
So we don't have rabbits yet. We are going to get probably a milk goat, which we live on, like our backyard is like 0.1 acre on a mountain in Utah. It's like a hot mess. But I guess I'm just kind of worried, like all these people talking about food shortages and stuff. Like, are you guys going to all eat your quail? Like, I know you don't have that many, Chris, and you kind of eat them yearly, but I don't know. Like, I'm like, am I going to eat
I don't know that I'd worry about it too much. I mean, there may be some slight difficulties in getting feed for a little while, but the supply chain is going to fix itself. I don't think it's going to be a big issue.
I'm like just debating like rabbits because everybody keeps talking about them. I'm like,
I'll tell you one thing: rabbit feed's a lot easier to come by than quail feed, at least for me. It's
well, they were. I mean, Brandon had a point about it is a lot easier to feed a rabbit.
Yeah, you can grow fodder for them. You can feed them stuff out of your yard. I mean,
yeah, you guys get comfrey there. I don't think we can grow that in Utah.
I don't know. I wouldn't feed them a full diet of comfrey. I mean, it's okay to supplement with, but you don't want to feed comfrey as the sole thing you're feeding your animals. No, it would be like wheat or barley fodder or some of those kinds of things. I guarantee there's things in your yard that grow. They don't eat grass necessarily, but plantain, you know what plantain is? Broadleaf plantain, narrowleaf plantain. They eat that. Clover, all those kinds of things they'll eat all that stuff.
I don't know if plantain grows out here. I know we get clover.
You probably get plantain. It grows in really bad soil, so most of the times in yards and things, it's all over the place.
Cool.
But
Well,
yeah, there's plenty you can find to feed your rabbits. But you shouldn't. I don't think you're going to have to worry about not being able to find rabbit feed, though. It's pretty easy to come by. Just about. I mean, you can go to Tractor Supply and get it. You can go to Walmart and find rabbit feed. You're going to pay more for it there, but you can find it just anywhere. It's all over the place. It's pretty easy to come by. There's tons of pet rabbit owners, so rabbit feed's not too difficult.
my other question for you, you mentioned at QuailCon how you keep the water from freezing is you just get them little like plastic butter tubs and cut holes in it.
Mm-hmm.
How,
It doesn't keep it from freezing. It just
well,
they-
yeah, but it makes
yeah.
it so it doesn't ruin your water system though, right?
right.
So how do you cut the hole in it without busting it? Because every time my father-in-law and husband
Yeah.
try and help me, they ruin it.
If you have heat's the trick to that. If you have heat up a knife or something like that, and you may have to do it like if you're doing it with like a burner of some kind, you heat the knife up and then melt the plastic holes around it. That'll work. I usually just use my pocket knife, so I stick my pocket knife in there and carve the hole out. But yeah, I've busted a few of them trying to do that. If you're having problems with it, then melt a hole in it.
They used a drill. That's why.
Yeah, drills don't work too well. They'll shatter that thin plastic.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
I have used I have used a hole saw before, like a hole saw drill, drill bit, spade bit, but you got to go really, really slow, and it's easier just to stick your pocket knife in there and cut a hole in it.
Okay, I will tell them that. That makes more sense.
Yeah, that plastic's pretty fragile, so it will break pretty easily.
Awesome. Where'd Brandon go? Oh, I see people saying you can grow plantain and comfrey in Utah. Sweet.
I'm sure you could.
I can't find that. I don't know where you can get those seeds.
Comfrey? You usually would get them you wouldn't get seeds. You'd usually get roots. And you're going to have to find somebody that Rise and Shine Rabbitry sells comfrey occasionally. So you might be able to find it through them, or I think that's one of the only places I've seen it where it's actually for sale. In most places, it's just a weed. It just grows. So if you can find it wild, you can just dig it up and plant it yourself. Comfrey is really good. There's a lot of benefits to having comfrey. I mean, it can be used as animal feed. You don't want to feed them just a diet of comfrey, but it's also known, like Native Americans do it as bone knit. You can use it to help with healing and, wrap it. You get a sprained wrist or something like that, wrap a piece of comfrey around it, and there's scientific evidence. It's not just a folklore wives' tale kind of thing, that it actually does help with healing. There are some concerns about it being cancer causing, but it's kind of like one of those things where, the way they studied that was they gave rats like 100 times the dose that anybody would ever take for, weeks, and they developed cancer, so it's not like, I don't think it's really a big concern.
Yeah, it's probably not as bad as the stuff in the rest of our diet anyway. So.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the soda I'm drinking here, so.
Awesome, sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hop off. I know it's late where you guys are.
It's getting kind of late. It's about time for me to wrap up and go start dinner. Oh, Amazon sells Russian comfrey, huh? Didn't know that.
I didn't either. We had a question here about when growing out, does it help the crowing with the roosters are kept at the bottom of the cage below the hens?
Maybe. I don't know if I've tried that. My experience has been that when roosters hit head age, they crow no matter what. It doesn't matter if there's hens around or anything. They crow. That's just what they do. If, like I said, if you can keep them in the dark, lower their amount of daylight, it helps with that quite a bit. But they're going to crow either way.
Yep. And Ed Get Bates says that rabbit's dynamite. I believe the one that you said you're looking at getting.
Okay.
And Nestle Swanson said when you drill a hole, running the drill in reverse, it kind of melts it as opposed to cutting it, so it makes it easier.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Ed Guppy said try a hole saw or forester bit.
Yeah.
I used hose saws in the plastic before, and it was okay. But yeah, just regular
It
drill.
depends on what kind of plastic container you're using too.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, I've used regular drill bits and they've broke it.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Meyer says you use a step drill bit.
Yeah, that would work.
That works. And then Jasmine says, I can mail you some comfrey roots, Chica. There you go.
I don't know who she's talking to. Kelly, maybe?
Kelly, yeah.
Yeah.
And Jesse says the trick to using the hole saw is to cut in the tubs running
in reverse.
They're Monty Python quotes.
Oh yeah, Monty Python. Yeah. If you haven't seen that, look it up. The Monty Python rabbit. You'll find it.
But yeah, with that, we're at the end. We'll end it here tonight. Chris has got to get dinner cooking and
yeah, I just started it earlier, but I didn't.
All
right. Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for joining. It was a good time. Thanks for everybody else joining in and everything. It was great times. And we'll see you next week. We'll hopefully do more of that. People just hopping on and joining us. So thanks again, Chris. You guys,
yeah, it was cool. It worked out well.
Good night.
All right. Take care. We'll see you guys on my live tomorrow night. I don't have a fancy setup like this, so you can't join video, but I plan on being there. So we'll see some of you guys there, I'm sure. So, all right, Brandon, thanks for having me, and we'll see you soon.